Welcome, you guys. This is EB Crypto, Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money, and we're going to talk about banks are collapsing and they don't want you to know about this. So I want you guys to like and subscribe to my channel. I want you guys to hit the bell so you'll get notifications, and we're going to go into this very weird things happening in the bank right now, and a lot of you guys have been seeing it. So I'll see you guys right after this. Welcome, you guys. This is the Family Cash Machine. Follow the money. This is EB Crypto. Eric Brent, how you guys doing today? Hopefully, you guys having a great day out there. And a lot of things are going on this world right now. There's a lot of confusion going on. We're entering into a calamity of economics. It's been happening in our individual lives, and it's a result of what's happening in the banking industry and the financial industry around the world in general. So I've been preparing people for the last 5 or 6 years for what's to come. I've been doing the best I can at getting you guys the information that you need to prepare yourselves for an economic paradigm shift. So this title of this particular video is the banks are collapsing and they don't want you to know, they're not telling you. Okay, so I want you guys to first like and subscribe to this channel. I want you guys to follow me. I want you guys to hit the bell, the notification. It helps me in the algorithm. So when I do videos, you guys will be able to stay on top of the information of what's going on. But right now, we have a serious economic dilemma approaching us. And I think most of you guys have been noticing, if you've been doing transactions like I do transactions, then you have had to have noticed that banking has changed forever. And, you know, when I look at banking today versus how it was 20 years ago, the changes are so drastic, but they made these changes in increments. And so you didn't notice them as they were gradually changing little by little by little. First, they started with, quote unquote, the money laundering thing. I think it started with Nixon all the way through Reagan. And then in the 80s, it really ramped it up with the whole, crack epidemic. And they really started to change a lot of the banking and money transactional laws. And then again, we had the 911 that added another element to the restrictions and the monitoring and the pretty much the suffocation of transactions in general. And then we had the 2008 crisis. Okay, we had this crisis in 2008 that basically crippled the whole world economy with the mortgage crisis and the securitization of mortgages and selling these CDs. There's a movie out called The Big Short. I advise everybody to watch to really understand what happened back in the 2000s. Okay, but anyway, this video I'm going to talk about what's happening with our money. Okay, as a real estate appraiser, a former commercial and residential real estate appraiser, I was, taking tests for FDIC. I had to take several state exams for Fannie Mae. I had to pass these state exams for several federal government regulating, entities. And so I know for a fact that when you have a bank account, what a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to show you this story later about Usain Bolt and how $12 million was missing from his account. But what people don't know, most people don't know, is the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, only insures up to $250,000 per account. So this was the whole reason why I decided to start learning more about cryptocurrency and start learning more about how I can control my value. Okay. My value. I can control my money, and I can have my money in a safe place where nobody can disrupt it and nobody can confiscate it. Wow. This is what the cryptocurrency whole philosophy is about. It's not just about Bitcoin going up and down. It was more about the individual being his own bank, being your own bank, being in control of your own transactions, and not being in a position where a transaction can be restricted or stopped or confiscated. So that's really what the whole revolution is about. But we're headed to a calamity in the banking industry, and it's happening right into your face, and most of us don't know. I'm going to show a couple of videos. We're going to talk. We're going to spend some time and chat. I want you guys to listen, not just from Eric Brent, not from EB Crypto, but I have several other references in this particular video that I'm going to share with you guys so you can see globally what's going on. And many of you guys might have been experiencing some type of delays or some type of restrictions that has really stifled or pretty much slowed down your progress in the financial world. Now, there's some suspicious things going on. Let's just keep it 100. There's a lot of suspicious things going on. I've been having a lot of problems transacting money. I've been a businessman since I was 13, an entrepreneur since I was 13. And as I got older and started doing more transactions, it started getting harder and harder and harder for me to transact. Now, anybody can put money in your account, but when you have to move money around and pay different people, and it becomes very difficult to send payments when you have a lot of payments that you have to send. And this is due to, of course, the Patriot Act, money laundering, and all these other things that they've conjured up to really control the money flow. Okay. Now, with the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, what most people don't realize, not only do they have the right to only insure 250,000 per account. So knowing that, it doesn't make sense for you to have 2-3 million in one account. If you got $2 million, open up 10 accounts. Why not? You want to have all your money insured. But I'm suggesting to people in this day and age not to even put the majority of your money in the banks. And we'll get to that later on this video. But again, I want you guys to like and subscribe to this channel, Family Cash Machine. Follow me, and I'm going to have a link underneath here as some resolutions that you can do and things you can learn that will alleviate this dilemma and you getting caught up in this type of stuff. So again, now the other thing that the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation has is banks only have to keep 10% of the funds that are deposited in its account. So let's say a specific bank in a specific residential area has over $50 million of residents' money in the bank deposited. They're only required to keep 5 million. 5 million, yeah, 5 million of the 50 million, that's 10%, in the bank. And they don't even keep that much. But the other $45 million, they probably trade. They have people to trade, and they loan out money, which is called fractionalized lending. So at any time, if everyone in that resident goes to get their deposit out that particular bank, this is all banks. This is called a run on the bank. They won't have all the money in there. But there's even stranger things happening now. A lot of times I'm depositing money in my account and I don't see it all. And they say, oh, it's going to take 5 days, 10 days. This is a money order. What is this taking so long? This is a direct deposit. Sometimes there's direct deposits that's going in individuals' account from their job. Direct deposits. They're not showing up right away. It's some strange things going on because banks are in trouble and they're on the verge of collapsing. Ooh, that sounds scary, doesn't it? But this is exactly what's happening. And we're going to show you guys some other references around the globe. And we're going to talk. Let's sit down. Let's have a chat. Get you some popcorn right now. Watch this video. Relax. Educate yourself and learn what's going on with your money, with these banks, so you don't get caught with your drawers down when the sugar honey iced tea hit the fan. Okay, so with that, let me go ahead and share this one video with you guys right now.
Have you noticed recently that not all of your money is in your bank account? Perhaps you've noticed that your direct deposits are having issues. Maybe you know you've got a direct deposit, but all of it's not there. Maybe a portion of it is missing for some reason. Have you experienced this? Let us know. We actually have a poll up right now, and you can drop us a comment below if you're watching us later. You're not alone, though, if you're experiencing this, because, in fact, we here at Redacted have been hearing from a number of you. And as many of you have said now, we've had thousands of people vote in our poll, and they've all been experiencing issues. Turns out you're not alone in this. We're going to have more on exactly what's happening to these bank accounts in just a moment. But first, something big is happening to our money supply. And the banking system is starting to freak out a little bit. They don't say this publicly, but they're starting to freak out. And my question is, are we about to learn that the emperor has no clothes?
Like, I have a question.
Yeah, fire away.
Just to see if it's related, because I just had this recently, never had it happen before. I have an Apple credit card. It's backed by Goldman Sachs. And generally when I make my payment, that money is available instantly. I made a payment this week and I called them. I was like, this money isn't showing up. They said, yeah, you've got a 10-day hold now on that money. It already came out of my bank, but it is not showing on the Apple card because they said it's going to take 10 days. I'm like, 10 days? So I asked for it to be escalated, and they said they'll escalate it, but it'll take 10 days or so for somebody to respond.
Which is so interesting, because this is one of the main arguments behind going to a Bitcoin type or a blockchain type currency, is that you wouldn't have to go through this ancient infrastructure, that money would be immediately available, although it's a much less efficient transaction. Blockchain transactions take a lot longer than, say, bank-related transactions, but at least there would not. Yeah.
I thought it was the opposite.
No. I think that
the interviews that I've done on blockchain with blockchain technologists say it's instantaneous, and whereas the wire transfers can take for
hours. Consumer purchases, they cannot process consumer purchases in the same speed as say
like if you go to the store.
Yes.
Those transactions.
Yes. But say bank to bank, person to person transfer would be much more efficient. So it's interesting that this is proving itself to us.
I noticed you noticed that he talked about how they're freezing deposits and they're holding on to your money. PayPal is notorious for this as well. PayPal, they will freeze your money for 21 days and sometimes longer, and they're holding this money because they may not have all the money. And it's the same thing going on with banks. There's a lot of, strange, weird things going on with our accounts. And we're going to go more deep into this in a minute, but I want to touch on something that she said. She said Bitcoin is supposed to relieve this, or blockchain technology. So she said that blockchain is not fast enough transactions to compensate all the global transactions. Blockchain moves too slow for it to be a global system as far as you purchasing items. Like, for instance, going to buy some tennis shoes and you do a Bitcoin transaction. It's going to take 15, 20 minutes to clear. So it doesn't work for global transactions. She is right, but she's wrong. And I'm going to say why she's wrong, because you remember her husband came and tried to correct her. And I like Redacted. They give great information, but she's right in a sense. She's talking about Bitcoin and Bitcoin's blockchain. Now, you got to remember this. She's not a cryptocurrency person. I'm here to teach you guys crypto. And since Bitcoin, which is the grandfather, and it's just that, it moves like the grandfather. It's slow. But Satoshi Nakamoto, who helped to create Bitcoin and blockchain technology and decentralization, he vanished after the first Bitcoin was sent to Al Finney on my birthday, January the 12th, 2008, I believe, right after the whole global debacle. Bitcoin was created, but it wasn't perfected. So now we have over 20,000 different cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to tell you right now, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, which is not Bitcoin, but it's a fork off of Bitcoin. Roger Ver, thank you for that. Postchain coming up now with Richard Hart. Tron coin. These coins have the speed to actually keep up with the global transactions of Western Union, MoneyGram, any of those banking transactions. We now have the speed on blockchains, different blockchains. Remember, blockchain is not plural. Bitcoin has its own blockchain. Ethereum has its own blockchain. Tron has its own blockchain. Every cryptocurrency, most of them, are on their own blockchain unless it's a ERC20 token, which is when you create a token on the Ethereum blockchain, you have your own token with its own function, but you're still using their blockchain. Okay, that's what it is. So most of the coins are actually ERC20 tokens, but we're not gonna get into all of that. It's a lot of complicated stuff. I don't want to get you guys into that because that's my job to teach you guys that later. But I did want to tell you guys she made a little mistake by saying she didn't really make a mistake. She's describing Bitcoin. Okay, and I'm telling you guys, Bitcoin is although it has the value more than any other crypto because it's been around longer, it's not the most effective cryptocurrency. They have a whole lot of other cryptocurrencies now with much faster speed, bigger throughput, and they can do more things, have more functionality, but they actually can keep up with the speed of global transactions. I was using Tron coin for a while, and Tron moves like that. It moves pretty fast. And the coin is only 6 cents, but if you send $100, $100 is $100. You're just gonna have more coins than you would on a Bitcoin transaction, but it's still $100. Point is, you can do these transactions now, and crypto can keep up with the global pace of transactions. You can actually walk in a store, buy some tennis shoes with Bitcoin Cash, not Bitcoin, but Bitcoin Cash, and that transaction will be completed in seconds. So she's talking about Bitcoin. She's not really talking about the whole cryptocurrency industry. I just wanted to correct that. But you also saw the guy saying how they're not accrediting your account right away. This is a huge problem in the world. This is a huge problem. Banks are about to go out of business, and they're going to take a whole lot of people down with them. And this is where the whole purpose of cryptocurrency being created, because Satoshi Nakamoto saw this, because we've been on a debt system for what? The last couple of 100 years, we've been just, so we don't have a real system, a real sound money system. All the monies in the world, every currency, is called fiat now, which means it's not backed by anything. Gold, silver, nothing. It's just debt piled up and passed around. But debt is not real money. Debt means that there's a temporal thing. And it's at a certain time period, the debt has to be paid or it's going to collide and implode. And that's where we're at right now. So they have a solution for you later, but you're not going to like it. But let me watch another video. Let me show you guys some other things that's going on in the world. And I want to talk about Usain Bolt and what happened with him right now.
Sprint legend Usain Bolt is among scores of victims of a massive fraud at one of Jamaica's oldest investment companies, Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. Bolt invested about $10 million with the company in 2012 and did not make any drawdowns. Acting on the advice of an ex-employee, Bolt, along with his legal team, recently reviewed the account. They found that the $12.7 million that was reflected on the account as at October 31 last year had been depleted to just $12,000 by early this month. An employee at the company, Jean Ann Panton, submitted a sworn statement to the police in which she confessed to perpetrating fraud against 39 customers at SSL. Now, the statement, dated January 7, 2023, lists the names of those fleeced and the amounts taken from their accounts. However, Bolt's name is conspicuous by its absence from the list. On Tuesday, the law firm representing the 36-year-old wrote to SSL demanding restitution. A part of their missive said, quote, "For your part, we are demanding that you pay over to our client the said sum of United States $12,758,181.74 standing to his account on the 31st day of October 2022 as issued to him by you. We are demanding that this be done within the next 10 days, failing which we will take all legal action against you and your directors, which action will include civil."
All right, you guys. Now, that was a crazy story with Usain Bolt. But again, you guys, you don't want to trust a lot of these banks with your money or investment firms. You want to put your money in this day and age in something more safe. And this is what we're talking about right now. It's very, very, very dangerous time we're living in as banking is changing. But again, I see this time and time again with celebrities entrusting the wrong parties to have too much power over their money. And so since then, Hussein, I believe, has received his money back. There was a young lady, I believe, not a guy. The reporter said a guy, but it was actually a young lady, a woman who misappropriated his funds, and several other accounts, millions of dollars have been missing. But now I'm going to take my own little journey, into these banks, and I want you guys to see my experience in what I've experienced when Santo Domingo and San Pedro and Los Angeles and most of the places that I've been going. There's been an influx of the cash just depleting out of these banks. Now, I went to the local mall. There's like at the bank, there's like 7 or 8 different ATMs inside the bank, and they're all empty. Like, what's going on here? This is becoming a huge concern. Like, where's our money going? Like, what's happening with our money? Like, how is the bank not having any money in ATMs? Now, from my understanding, they charge you every time you take money from an ATM. That's a charge. So therefore, this is an income stream for banks. So how is it that they don't have money in the ATMs on the weekend? So I want to show you guys my
Popular
experience.
Bank, and look, all the ATMs is out. All the ATMs is out. I'm at the bank, man. This is Saturday. It shouldn't be out on Saturday. This Friday, they should have loaded up for the weekend. So something really going on with these banks, man. I'm at Popular Bank, one of the major banks in Santo Domingo. Dominican just went out too.
Yeah, we're finding out now there's over 4,000 banks that are in jeopardy of closing and going bankrupt. And so we're in a very, very unique time that we're living in. But again, you guys, this is not uncommon. This is happening right now. They're trying to move us to a digital currency, but it's not going to be a decentralized currency. And this is why I'm on the particular mission I'm on, to teach you guys the difference between the two. Centralized currency means that one specific entity controls that currency, the distribution of the currency, the total value of that currency, and also they can control who's spending and who's not spending. We're looking at some really weird times that's coming up. But again, like I said, they're trying to do away with cash and come out with a digital currency, not a cryptocurrency. Don't get it twisted. It's not crypto, because crypto means encrypted. And that encryption is for the people to give you privacy, to give you anonymity, and things of that nature. But this particular currency they're coming out with is a centralized digital currency. That's why it's called the CBDC, the central bank's digital currency. So there's never been a time in history where the public dealt directly with central banks. We were dealing with banks. We were dealing with lenders and financial institutions. They deal with central banks. The central banks is a small group of people who control all of the currencies around the world. So for the first time ever in the history of the world, the public will now be dealing directly with the central banks. And they're going to have the power to decide who can participate in economics and who can't. So for instance, the system they have in China is called credit. It's called a social credit. And that's what we're going to be moving to. Basically, if they don't like what you're saying online or internet, on YouTube, if they don't like your political stance, your political views, they can basically hit one button and shut you down. You can't spend, you can't buy, you can't participate in any kind of economic exchanges. That's what this CBDC is going to be about. It's going to be about total control, because if someone controls every dime you spend, guess what? They actually indirectly control you, your mouth, your beliefs, your activities, everything. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to a point where everybody is going to say, oh my God, everything is crashing, so help us. And so they're going to come in like it's something that benefits you, but it's actually going to be to your detriment if you don't understand the differences and if you don't have anything of value to yourself separate from the system that you control, that you can maneuver, because it's always going to be trade. It's always going to be trade. Hey, I give you this, you give me that. There's always going to be trade. But if all of your value is in this centralized system, oh my God, that is what they call in your Bible, in the book of Revelation, the mark of the beast. I don't know no other way to put it. That's what it is. So we're going to go further. I want you guys to see some more things going on and other people that's having some of the same issues. And then we're going to talk about these banks closing and all these different banks shutting down and just running with people's money. Like, it's just going to be ridiculously. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't have my earphones on. How you guys doing? This is EB Crypto. Eric Brent, Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money. And we're going to do a quick video today about you guys learning how to leverage your business credit. Many of you guys have businesses, you have small businesses, you have what they call LLCs, but you're not leveraging it. You don't know how to tap into the corporate business world or the and that's fine. I understand it. I understand it because many of us don't have the time to actually learn some of the tricks of the trade. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this to you guys. Again, this is EB Crypto, Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money. I need you guys to like and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification or that bell so other individuals could see me and understand and get some of this free information that I give away. I give away a lot of free information. And I want some of our people to understand things that they don't tell you in school about economics, about business credit, corporations, trust funds, annuities, or decentralized assets, and things of that nature that we show you guys how to structure. Okay, now, business credit is easy, pretty much. But at the same time, it's not easy if you don't have a coach. You need a coach or you need someone who's going to navigate you through this complex world that you're not accustomed to. If you're not accustomed to business credit, if you're not accustomed to Dun & Bradstreet, if you're not accustomed to Experian and Equifax Business and the Small Business Financial Exchange, if these are terms that you're not familiar with, you're so busy running your business, you don't have time to learn these things. And I advise you to stay focused on your business. Make sure your business is making money. So while it is true that it is very straightforward when it comes to accumulating business credit, most of us don't have the time. That's where the Family Cash Machine comes into play, or the 60-day 80 paydex score, which is a subsidiary of the Family Cash Machine, which we help individuals with small businesses who don't have a clue on how to get into corporate credit or business credit. We show you how, and we don't really just show you. We're a do-it-yourself business. We basically do everything for you so you can focus on your business, branding your business, or continuing to produce whatever product that you're producing, okay, or services. So that's what we do here, but we'll cover that corporate credit, business credit side for you so you can capitalize on funding and capital that you may not know about. So again, let me give you 3 benefits right now of having a business coach or someone that's overseeing the corporate credit side of your business. One of the benefits is guidance in a process. A coach can help you understand the ins and outs of building business credit, because we don't realize that business credit and personal credit, 2 different things, 2 total different things. They don't even operate the same way. It's really funny how business credit accumulates or obtains better interest rates than personal credit. I don't think it's fair that a working mom and pa, a working man, a father, a working mother who works their butt off, they don't get better interest rates than a corporation that's making money. That's the country that we live in. That's just the way things are, to where business credit gets better interest rates because they look at businesses as something that may be uh, stimulating jobs. So you want to operate as a business, even though you may be an individual, you want to operate as a business. So business credit is a little more straightforward. It's better interest rates. They don't work on that whole debt to credit ratio. You can spend money that you borrowed and still accumulate more loans. I think it's unfair, but knowing how the system works, you need to leverage the system. Okay. So, and you won't be able to do that without a coach or someone that's actually overseeing your corporation, making sure you're leveraging everything to your benefit. That's one of the benefits of a coach. Also, you have access to resources, good resources. A coach can provide you with access to resources that can help you establish your business credit. Now, I told you guys, I come from a background of real estate. So what does that mean? I was a former commercial residential real estate appraiser. I appraised properties. So I was in the middle of banks. I was in the middle of the borrower. I was in the middle of the real estate agent. I was in the middle of the financial institution. I was in the middle of the bank. I was in the middle of the loan. So I'm in the middle of everything. So I've developed a lot of relationships with loan officers, and I have several teams of loan officers that can help you guys get whatever kind of loan you're trying to get. Okay. So that's one of the benefits of having a coach. And also, number 3, networking opportunities. The coach can also provide you with access to the network of other businesses owners who are also building credit profiles. I can also help you and put yourself in a position of valuable information that I've accumulated over the years from doing what it is that I do. Again, network. It's all about not what you know, but who you know. And so when you connect with certain individuals that are in the know, me, I don't do loans. Although I went to school for loans, I understand loans. I have a license from the state of California where I had to pass certain state exams. When it comes to the Truth and Lender Act, I don't really do loans. I deal with individuals who have contacts, who have relationships with the individuals in the bank. I'm not going to say I got an inside bank. No. A lot of guys say, oh, I got an inside bank. No, I don't have no inside bank. But I have contacts with individual loan officers and loan teams that have relationships with people inside the bank. This is what they do for a living. They charge you guys on the back end for these loans, but if you don't get a loan, they don't get paid. So their best interest is to get you to these loans. And my attitude is I understand the front side of it. I understand exactly what they're looking at to get you these loans. So I know how to build the profiles of corporations and businesses to make it look like, oh, this business needs a loan. Then I pass it over to my underwriters and loan officers and different teams of individuals that have relationships with banks because this is what they do for a living. So they know the language. They're all on a buddy system, and this is just how it is in America. You have to have a network. Whatever you're trying to do, if you're trying to buy homes, if you're trying to get in the entertainment business, if you're trying to get into acting, whatever it is you're trying to do, you have to have a network. So these are the benefits that comes with having a coach. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Again, you guys, I'm going to leave a link under this video for you guys to like and subscribe to this channel, not just this channel, but there'll be another link that you guys could grab and get more information on what it is that we do. We have shelf corporations because a lot of you guys corporations don't qualify for loans. And so some of us are so fixated on, I got to get my company a loan. I got to get my, no, you don't. You have to get a loan. You don't have to get your company a loan. You can buy a shelf corp, get that corporation a loan. You still own that company and take that money and lend it to your other corporation. It's so much knowledge and leverage and how to leverage that knowledge. It's not even funny, but this is not the things that we're taught in school. We also have trade lines for corporations and businesses. We have business trade lines, not personal, business trade lines, paid off business trade lines, okay, that reports to Experian, Small Business Financial Exchange. These are the things that I do, okay? I don't do it, but I have individuals, that's what they do. And I plug you in with these individuals. They've been doing this 10, 15 years, and they know what they're doing, okay? So we have trade lines, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, $250,000 trade lines that report to Experian, woo, and the Small Business Exchange, Small Business Financial Exchange, which Wells Fargo and Chase looks at. And I'm pretty sure thousands of other banks look at. I just don't know all the other banks, but these major banks do look at Small Business Financial Exchange, as well as Dun and Brad. So, peace. By social media. And this is why I love YouTube and the different social media outlets, because we can listen to information from different sources. You can do your own due diligence and find out if this information is valid or not. You can cross-reference, but mainstream media all has an agenda. So it's a story here of another young man. You know, he went all over looking for ATMs, and he was not able to find the ATMs at that time that were available around Christmas time, around the whole holiday. Now, I've been covering this stuff since early January, December. I've been kind of following the banking system before all of these bank failures. I've been following this stuff, and I've been trying to my best to relay this information to the public. But if it's not on the mainstream media, we don't believe it. So the mainstream media, you have to remember, has a certain agenda. There are 6 corporations in the world that owns every network, every radio station, every satellite station, every YouTube station, all the stations in the world, every station in the world, whether it's internet, whether it's cable, whether it's radio, whether it's TV, satellite. There's 6 corporations in the world that control them all. So you have to understand that the whole outlet of information is controlled. This is what makes social media so powerful, because you can, within seconds, get information. And this is why during the quote-unquote pandemic, they tried to control YouTube and Facebook and all these different Instagram. They tried to kind of like monitor or what I want to say, censor information, so you couldn't get it straight from the horse's mouth. People that were out there actually with cameras showing everything and giving and talking to doctors and urologists and immunologists. People were out there talking to these different people, and they were not allowing that information to come out. So again, we've been covering this information. The mainstream media somehow didn't cover it until later on, once it just became so obvious and banks started collapsing. So I want to listen to this young man here who went all over around the holiday season and couldn't find an ATM that was actually working to his benefit to get the cash.
Hey, what's up, TikTok? So it's January 3rd, about 12:35 in the morning. I got up out of my house, drove over to the bank, inserted my card in the ATM, and it said that they were having technical difficulties. That was at one Bank of America. So I drive up the street, maybe about a quarter mile, half a mile away, to another Bank of America, and the same technical issue. So then I was like, I don't really bank with other banks, but I guess I'll let them charge me $4 for the sake of pulling the money out to go gamble. I go, and then displayed on the screen is unable to do cash transactions. So now I'm currently at Wells Fargo, and I put my card in, and it tells me the same thing. None of these banks are giving out any money right now. What's going on? Anybody know what's going on, man? Anybody else experiencing this? Is this just today? Was it yesterday? What's up? Give me some insight. What are they doing? Holding back my money? Why do I even have a bank account for it?
I'm also missing money over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service. And they keep hanging up on people. This another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today, and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service, and customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know, because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account, and they're telling me that there's no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that's just one person. This is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent, and we're asking what's going on, and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody for the same thing, man. Same thing.
Bank of America and Zelle are now blaming each other for a technical glitch that had customers missing money from their accounts. Bank of America says the issue has been resolved, attributing it to an issue with the Zelle app. But Zelle is blaming the bank, saying there was no issue with its platform. ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous is here with more on this. Alexis, what do we know at this point about what and how this happened?
Yeah, they're playing the blame game, and who gets hurt in all this is the customer, right? So a really scary and frustrating day for lots of Bank of America customers. Imagine logging onto your account and seeing that money is missing. In some instances, there were negative balances. So as you can imagine, these people ran to the bank for answers. They didn't get any, so they lit up social media. They said they were calling the bank. No one was answering their calls. Some people stormed the branches. There was one person who tweeted, "I almost lost my mind when I saw $2,000 was missing from my account. Not accepting calls because of extenuating circumstances is insane. Call me." And that's when the blame game started. So Bank of America blaming a technical glitch at the payment platform Zelle for the vanishing funds. But Zelle was quick to put the blame back on the bank, saying the issue was not the result of any issues with the Zelle network. The good news is, by yesterday afternoon, Bank of America said all the funds were back and they thought everything was okay. But I'll tell you what, this is a confidence crisis that they're going through right now, and a lot of customers are still steaming mad.
Today, thousands of Bank of America customers and Zelle users reported money had been taken out of their accounts. The banking chain says that as of this evening, that issue has been resolved. Don Hood joining us live now after speaking with the Chesterfield County woman. And John, has she gotten her money back yet?
Yeah, hey, Michaela, well, it's a little more complicated than that. The woman I spoke with tonight says she woke up this morning with $1,000 missing from her bank account. Tonight, she's just hoping to see all of that money return.
No, they're just disappointed because there wasn't an email stating that this was a problem.
Ellen Holman says for more than 20 years, she's been a customer with Bank of America and has never had an issue like this one before.
I realized that there was money missing, and now I just didn't know, I don't know where it is.
Holman says she woke up Wednesday morning to money missing from her account. Her first instinct was to call Bank of America, but she says no one ever got back to her.
The message that I received was, due to circumstances, we can't take your call. Call back. And that was this morning around 7:30.
She said she then told her daughter about the issue, who later told her mom it's not only happening to her.
Mommy, you are not the only one. It's all over Twitter. Other people's money is missing. I'm like, what?
According to downdetector.com, a website that manages disruptions to services, there were more than 1,200 reports of issues with Bank of America's site. The bank later sent out a notification to some customers saying Zelle transactions made between January 14th and January 17th may be delayed in occurring and posting to accounts as requested, and went on to apologize for the inconvenience. Holman says she's frustrated because she never received that message and uses Zelle with Bank of America for her childcare business.
Those are payments from the daycare parents, and they Zelle it to me into my business account, and then I wake up and it's not there.
I reached out to Bank of America, who says the issue has been resolved and are working to make sure clients receive their funds. However, Holman says once her money is returned, she's thinking about leaving her bank.
Well, you may have noticed it lately. Many banks closing branches as more customers bank online and fewer go into the bank in person. But for one East Bay man, it caused a mild panic, actually. The Bank of America shut down his branch just hours after he made a huge deposit and his money disappeared. So you can imagine how worried he was. So he came to 7 on Your Side's Michael Finney, as so many people do, to find out what to do, Michael.
Yeah, it's hard to believe this story happened at a major bank.
Yeah,
this viewer deposited $33,000 through a teller at a Bank of America in Oakland, and hours later, the branch shut down. His deposit never got posted, and everybody kept telling him, sorry, there's nothing we can do.
And I said, you're telling me that Bank of America lost $33,000 of my money, and you're telling me right here to my face there's nothing you can do? That's right, sir.
It was like a bad dream, except it was real.
I started to think I may not see the money ever.
Brian Leonard deposited $33,000 into his account at Bank of America. Then it disappeared.
Nobody said, we'll find out where the money is, we'll make good on it, we'll take care of it. There was none of that.
It all began here in Brian's kitchen.
My wife and I are in the midst of a big kitchen remodel.
Brian had to pay the contractor and needed to transfer $33,000 from his account at Wells Fargo to his account at B of A. He brought a cashier's check straight to the teller at B of A so it would clear right away.
And she said it would post that afternoon or next morning at the latest.
However, when he checked his account the next day, the money was not there. He called B of A, and it was not good news.
The woman said that there was no record of the transaction, so as far as she was concerned, no transaction happened.
Brian drove back to the bank and got another surprise. B of A had shut down that branch just hours after he had made his big deposit.
And when I realized the branch that was closed and the teller that took my $33,000 cashier's check is nowhere to be found, my heart sank into my stomach. I feel like I just saw a boat leaving dock and my money is on the boat.
Brian went to another branch, only to find the doors locked there, too.
So that's when I started to get very nervous. It's just like, wait a second, the branches are closing. The people that I've had contact with, gone.
He went to a third branch. It was open, and the manager didn't help.
He said there's no record of the transaction, so there was nothing he could do.
Brian showed him the cashier's check and deposit receipt, proof of the missing money.
And I said, well, you're the manager. Can you escalate the issue? He says, no. There's nothing I can do.
Brian says everyone at B of A kept telling him that.
There was nothing he could do. There was nothing that she could do. So there's nothing I can do. So there was nothing he could do. They kept repeating, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do about that. It was kind of Kafka-esque.
But there was something Brian could do. He contacted the bank's CEO, the federal government, and 7 on Your Side.
That ball started moving very quickly.
B of A tells us the problem arose because the cashier's check was made out to Bank of America, not Brian, and it delayed the process. B of A didn't say why no one helped Brian track down his money until now.
Bank of America contacted me and they said, we are going to give you $33,000 immediately. 7 on Your Side. You were on it from the get-go. And so, thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we do here. Now, look, this story is a great reminder. Keep your receipts. Bank of America did not comment on whether the shutdown of that branch may have caused a problem with the deposit, but says it's a temporary closure. This is one of hundreds of bank branches to close nationwide over the past year, and we're starting to hear more and more problems related to these shutdowns. And what concerns me, too, is you have receipts and they mean nothing?
Yeah.
Why have a receipt?
Right. As you said at the top, I've never heard of this at a major bank.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It's the case of the disappearing money for one local small business in the tune of $10,000.
13 Investigates anchor Tricia Keene shows us sometimes your security measures just aren't enough.
Almost $10,000 was withdrawn from the account and transferred to an unknown person.
It's a nightmare scenario for any small business. It happened to Desert Gym Cats back in September.
Initially, it was just okay, this is clearly a fraudulent transaction. We're going to report it to the bank. We would get it refunded.
But Bank of America denied the claim.
They said that this transaction went through via authorized methods. Didn't really make too much sense. So from there, we had months of meetings with workers at the bank and managers of our local branch.
When that didn't provide answers, Desert Gym Cats reached out to 13 Investigates. We contacted Bank of America. They tell us the money was sent using a required security code. In a statement, the bank says the transaction, quote, involved our sending a code to the sender's device that must be correctly entered by the sender before the transaction can proceed. But Kyle claims that never happened. Local IT expert Kurt Miller says there's a weak link that crooks can exploit.
If somebody has access to your email or the computer itself, and they log into that website, they have everything they need.
Fargo Bank has agreed to pay billions of dollars to settle charges that had harmed consumers by charging illegal interest and fees. Here are the details by the numbers. More than $2 billion. That's how much the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ordered the bank to return to the 16 million consumers impacted. That includes 11 million car loan borrowers. The Bureau says that the bank must pay $1.3 billion for improperly charging fees and interest, wrongfully possessing vehicles, and failing to give refunds for some types of charges when a loan ended early. Wells Fargo will pay another $200 million for illegal home mortgage practices. The Bureau says for at least 7 years, the bank improperly denied mortgage loan modifications, which in some cases led to consumers losing their homes to wrongful foreclosures. More than $500 million will go to victims of illegal overdraft fees. The bank is accused of charging some customers even when they had enough money in their account to cover their transaction. The settlement also includes a $1.7 billion fine. That's the largest penalty the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has ever levied against a bank. The bank said today that it has already resolved many of the infrastructure issues that led to the abuses and that it continues to reform. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau called the bank a, quote, repeat offender and urged consumers who are still experiencing problems to submit complaints on their website.
All right, you guys. Now we get into some more nitty gritty stuff here, going into details with some of this corruption in the banks. Now, I've had some serious interactions with Wells Fargo as well. That's kind of funny how on that one story they were trying to blame Zelle, and then quickly the bank, I believe it was Chase or Bank of America quickly resolved it, and it wasn't on actually Zelle. You got to remember Zelle is just an app that attaches to the bank, that transfers money at the bank's discretion, and banks allow these transactions to go through this app. But nothing goes through without the bank's final approval through these transactions. It's going through the bank main central computer system still. So it's still on the banks. If there's any glitch, anything like that, it's still their fault because they're the ones that's actually holding the money, not Zelle. So that to me was a cockamamie story. I don't think that made a lot of sense. But with the Wells Fargo thing, what happened with me with Wells Fargo is I had a corporate account with Wells Fargo, and I had a lot of deposits going in and a lot of money going out. It was a business account, and had that account for about 4 years, about 3 years, and it got hacked several times. Now, you guys can see now they have devices that people can ride around and drive around with these devices and just grab different debit cards in that neighborhood, get all your information, just scan it and run off with it. I've seen a guy do that before, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he had this device where he was just scanning the neighborhood for different people's information on the black market. Wow. And they even sell that information on the black market. Your debit card, your checking account, your routing numbers, all that stuff is sold on black market. So again, banking and keeping all of your money in the bank is just not a good idea today. And back to my Wells Fargo account, it was hacked so many times. It was like 5,000 left one time, and they replaced it. Then there was another somebody purchased a weekend at a cabin in Big Bear. Somebody purchased an expensive dinner in Florida, and so it was so much. It was like I think about 8 or 9 times it got hacked within a 2-month period. So then I got a call from Wells Fargo to come into the bank. I went to the bank, and they told me that it was my fault that my account was getting hacked, and I must have gave out my information to people or whatever. And so they decided not to do business with me anymore, because remember, every time your account gets hacked, they have to replace the money. So they dismissed me. And I think about 4 to 6 months later, there was a huge scandal with Wells Fargo where there was like 5,500 employees that they fired. For what reasons, I don't know. It was obviously some kind of inside thing going on where they were sharing accounts that had big activity, and they were probably sharing that information on the black market. I don't know, but I know right after they dismissed my account, and a bank has the right to do business with whoever they want. After they dismissed my account and made me go somewhere else, I ended up going to U.S. Bank, set up the account, but it wasn't my fault. Again, it was something happening in the world of black market hacking information. And like I said, it was because that was a business account that had a lot of high volume transactions. That's probably why I was targeted. But again, it wasn't my fault. And I was dismissed because, again, as the accounts get hacked, they have to constantly replace that money. And so they didn't want to continue to replace my money. So they just dismissed me and said it was my fault. But come to find out, like I said, about 4 months later, they actually fired 5,500 people. It was in big news. It was big news. And so I'm thinking to myself, maybe this is part of what my account got caught up in. This was done inside of your bank. And so again, you guys, this is a lot of stuff going on right now with these banks. I had a lawsuit with Wells Fargo one time. Actually, I can't really discuss too much of that lawsuit, but it had a lot to do with the housing. It had a lot to do with that stuff. And they settled with some of the clients that I had. And I got a call from the Attorney General's office, the United States Attorney General's office, saying that I'm not an attorney and I couldn't help people, but I did help people. I helped people find the corruption in the securitization process of Wells Fargo and Bank of America, a couple other banks, Deutsche Bank. And all you got to do is watch the movie called The Big Short. If you watch that movie, you'll understand exactly what happened, what went on. And by me being a real estate appraiser and going to school for real estate and taking it to the highest level of commercial, and by me being trading on Wall Street, actually the Chicago Mercantile Exchange I traded, I understood both sides of it. I understood the SEC side of it, and I understood the real estate side of it, the Fannie Mae side of it, the trustee side of it. I understood both sides of what was going on with these securitizations of the notes. And so I fought it, and I was pretty successful with quite a few cases helping people. And then I got shut down by the United States Department of Justice, or what it's called. No, the Attorney General's office. I didn't get a call from the Attorney General, but I got a call from that office saying that I wasn't allowed to help people. And I was like, wow, is this something else or what? It's like, okay, I'm showing you guys what these banks are doing, illegal things to average people, and you're coming after me? Wow. And that's kind of when I gave that up and went more into cryptocurrency and helping people individually with businesses and corporate loans. And I started doing that type of stuff. And I kind of got away from the housing thing because it was just too corrupt on the highest levels. But again, you guys, Wells Fargo's, these banks, a lot of these banks is doing a lot of unscrupulous things. Recently, my dad passed and I had to go home and help my mom with some financial things. And me and my sister, lo and behold, found like $34,000 just missing from her account because she had been nursing my dad. And my mom is 80 years old. She was nursing my dad for the last 2 years. So she wasn't watching everything. She was just paying everything automatically. But thank God my sister found the mistake, and Bank of America corrected it shortly, within hours. But again, $34,000 missing. Like, huh? Where does it go? So it's a lot of things going on right now that's not making sense with banks. And this is why I'm doing this video, to show you guys to beware and give you guys other alternatives of what you can do with your bulk of your wealth, and where you can store it, where you have access to it, and you're not at the jeopardy of being disrupted or confiscated or straight up stolen, or a glitch in the system. So, or a situation where you got an emergency and you got to go to the ATM, you got to get some money, and there's no money in these ATMs. So you want to have alternatives. You don't want to have everything in the banks. At this day and age, when the economies around the world are crashing, when all the fiat currencies around the world there's just massive inflation happening right now. So even if they're not taking the dollar out of your hand, if they're not stealing your money, they're devaluing the money to where it's not able to have the same purchasing power. So either way it goes, you want to get the bulk of your value out of US dollars, out of banks into something else that you have more access to that is not going to lose value. So now we're going to go to an international level. I want to show you guys some things happening internationally. It's not just happening here in America with Bank of America, Wells Fargo. This stuff, this corruption is happening all over the world when it comes to money. And remember, my show is called Family Cash Machine, Follow the Money. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm following the money, and I'm following these banks, and I'm following value. I'm following inflation. I'm following interest rates. I'm following the things, assets, value. I'm following the things that appreciate in value, and I'm following the things that deplete in value, and I'm following the money all over and how it's affecting us in this world. So let me show you a couple of international videos of some individuals in Africa, in Italy, and in Greece, and all over. It's just stuff happening real bad. So we're gonna go and watch that right now.
Hello everybody, good morning. This is a Abiado of North African Food Market in Warri, Delta State. I'm right here in GTB Bank, Airport Road branch, Warri, Delta State. This is the second time in 2 months they are stealing from my account without any trace. There was a restriction on the accounts. They changed my bank ATM card and everything. And yesterday again, they took money from my account. The manager is here. Nobody's doing anything. It is my business money. I sell crayfish for a living. Please make this go viral. Make this go viral. GTB Bank are frustrating small businesses in Nigeria. They are frustrating small businesses in Nigeria. Make this go viral. GTB Bank has stolen from me, stolen my business money. I sell crayfish for a living. My business name is now African Food Market on Facebook and Instagram. They are stealing my money. GTB Bank is not doing anything. They are stealing my money. They are a bunch of thieves in this bank. Small businesses are suffering. It is hard enough that Nigeria is frustrating us. Our banks are frustrating us. We keep money in the banks. They steal our money. GTB Bank is frustrating me. I've called them out on Twitter and they're not doing anything. I am not leaving this bank until they refund my money. They told me to wait for 45 working days. While waiting, they stole another money from my account. Facebook, Instagram, Instablog Nigeria. Save me! Come to my aid! I sell crayfish! I am a graduate. There was no job for me. I started selling crayfish. But GTB Bank is frustrating me. I am a mother of 3 children. GTB Bank is frustrating me. They have stolen my money. I am right here in GTB Bank. Airport Road. Come to my aid. Nigeria is frustrating me. My bank is frustrating me. Come to my aid.
Customers who were victims of the alleged illegal withdrawal on Monday in Abuja urge authorities to address the trend urgently. Helen Iziguzu, a customer with one of the new generation banks, said, "No wonder the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, said there is so much money in the hands of Nigerians outside the banks. People are beginning to lose hope in commercial banks." Ms. Isiguzu added in quote, "Instead of my money to develop wings and disappear from my account just in a day, I rather invest it into real estate business
انا وصلت التويان لانه قال ما بدهم يدفعوا هلا لو انا وصلت التويان ما بدهم يدفعوا انا ماني ضامن ولا يدفعوا يلا بدك احكي لك بيجيب حقه ما هلا بعدين ما بعدين بعد اللي بعدين لا يجيب حقه لانه غير هيك ما بيجي الحق يلا جوا
Let's now shift our attention to what is unfolding in China, where a large group of very angry demonstrators faced off with the police and the staff on Sunday in the city of Zhengzhou. And they did this to protest against the financial scandal that has now grabbed the attention of the entire nation. Now, this, remember, in China is a rare public demonstration. At least about 1,000 depositors gathered in front of the Zhengzhou sub-branch of the People's Bank of China to voice their extreme anger against the alleged charge of corruption. The protesters were amongst the thousands of customers who had opened their bank accounts in 6 rural banks in Henan and also in neighbouring Anhui province that offered a higher rate of interest. According to reports that have come in, the banks decided to freeze millions of dollars worth of deposits in the month of April, and they told their customers that they were actually upgrading their internal systems. Now, videos from the protest site showed security guards shoving the protesters off to prevent them from gathering near the bank as they chanted slogans. The protesters, of course, responded by pelting stones to push back the guards because they said that their money is in danger. Mass protests are a very rare sight in China. Remember, these happen very rarely in the tightly controlled nation, where any form of public dissent is very brutally crushed down.
If you're living under a rock, Silicon Valley Bank just got shut down by regulators in California. The FDIC has officially stepped in, ensured that all depositors with up to $250,000 in their accounts will be able to get that money back out as soon as Monday morning. Unfortunately, 89% of every depositor who had an account at that bank had more than $250,000. That means 89% of about $80 billion in holdings gone, completely vanished. There will be a huge ripple effect from this in the coming days. There will be potential bank asset buyouts that the FDIC will facilitate with other creditors, private parties, private equity firms, hedge funds, banking institutions. In addition to that, we're going to be seeing a huge ripple effect on startups that we all know and use. An example of this, Roku has hundreds of $millions at SVB they won't be able to access. Instacart apparently banks here, DoorDash banks here, Stripe Atlas, for anybody who created a company through Stripe Atlas.
You guys get the picture. It's a very, very uncertain times that we're living in. A lot of people are a little uneasy, and you should be at this rate of bank failures and uncertainty with these financial institutions that we rely on. So there's a solution to it. There is a lot of different solutions to it. We're not going to give you all of them here, but you're going to have to hit that button underneath. You got to go underneath this video and go to the text part, and you'll see where you can get more information, and you can become a member of our newsletter, and we'll start giving you guys step-by-step different things you can do to secure your value and not rely 100% on these banks. Now, recently, a lot of this information you guys seen was the last year, and recently, over the last few months, we've had these bank failures, starting with SVB, which is the Silicon Valley Bank. I'm sure all of you guys heard that. I know you don't live under a rock. And that was a huge, huge deal because Silicon Valley is where we started the whole process of making microchips. That's where it started. The material that they use called silicone in these chips, these semi-converter chips that's being used all over the world. They started in Silicon Valley. And as we all know, most of your tech companies, Google, Facebook, YouTube, all these different big tech companies are in Silicon Valley. And so therefore that bank had 89% of its deposits uninsured. 89%. That's a huge percentage. And a lot of people might be asking, well, how is it that they're 89% deposit uninsured? Because what people don't know, a lot of people don't know, and I had to go to school and pass certain exams for the state of California in regards to Fannie Mae, FDIC, and all these other different agencies as a real estate appraiser. And what's in the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, is they only cover $250,000 per account. So when you're talking about Silicon Valley Bank, you're talking about these huge CEOs and these huge tech gurus who are making enormous amounts of money. Most of them have more than $200,000 per account. And I don't think they really understand that they're not insured if they go over $200,000. This is why most multimillionaires, they don't have a lot of cash. They have most of their value in assets, real estate, gold, or businesses, franchises, or whatever, annuities. They have their majority of their value in something that's not attached to banks in cash. And so 89%. And mind you, that was the 16th largest bank in the United States, the SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank. 16th largest bank went under. They went from, I think, $175 billion in deposits. Within 48 hours, they went all the way to $42 billion because of an announcement they made that they were taking everybody's money, like most banks do, and they lend it out, or they'll buy treasury notes, which they thought were secure to buy in the long term. But we had a situation last year where the Federal Reserve went up on interest rates faster than they ever did in the history of the world. They went up faster than any other time with their rates. They just continue to hike. Even though there were really small hikes, they did it so many times last year, and they're continuing to go up on these rates, and it's making these notes and bonds and stuff like that not that profitable. In fact, a lot of people are losing on those investments. Banks are losing on those investments. So when they reported those losses, it became a run on the bank. That's what happened. They went, listen, within 48 hours from 175 billion in deposits to 42 billion, and it just had a trickle down effect. Next you know, Signature Bank had some issues. That was the largest bank failure in the United States history. It was the third largest bank failure in the United States history. That one went under shortly after. And then we had the First Republic Bank, which there were over 68% of their deposits are uninsured. That's huge. Almost 70% of the people that bank with First Republic are multimillionaires. So they have more than 250,000 per account. So therefore, that money's not insured. Now, this is very scary, very scary. And again, like I said, you guys, there's other options that you have. If you grab this link underneath for more information, again, like I said, you have to go underneath the text of this video and click that link that says you want more information, and we'll start teaching you guys and training you how to do certain things and to avoid getting caught up in what is going to be a huge disastrous economic downtrend. And right now it's actually over 186 banks in jeopardy of failure. Right now, over 186 banks. Isn't that scary? That's just in America alone. Over 186 banks are in jeopardy of failure right now. So what's happening is the Federal Reserve and the US government has decided to bail out these banks. So what does that mean? How are they going to bail out these banks? Well, they're not telling you this, but they're going to print more money. They're going to have to print more money to bail out these banks, to keep these banks from failing, to keep the American faith up in banking, to keep your belief system up, you know, so you don't panic. They're going to print more money. That's the only way they're going to be able to bail them out. Whenever they talk about bailout or stimulus, that just means they're going to print more money. So what happens when they print more US dollars? Eventually, inflation. And so it costs more and more of the same dollars to do the same thing. That's why you're having so much inflation now from the stimulus package one, the bailout, the first bailout in 2008, and the COVID bailout. So all of these bailouts and stimulus only means print more money. And again, they're going to have to do that again to bail out these banks, which is going to, in the next year or so, create another 20-30% inflation, where things are going to appear like the prices are going up, but in reality, the value of the dollar is coming down. So with that, again, you guys, that's what we're talking about today. The banks are in jeopardy of taking your money, of stealing your money, or running off with your money. You're in jeopardy of losing everything you have if you don't start making certain precautions now and start learning more with the Family Cash Machine as to how you can take different precautions. And again, like I said, there's going to be a link underneath this video that you guys can grab. I need you to like and subscribe to my channel so more people can get this information so they don't get stuck and with their hand in the cookie jar and relying on these banks and relying on the government to bail them out when eventually there won't be any bailout. So with that, you guys, I'm going to sign out. This is Eric Brent, EB Crypto, Family Cash Machine. Follow the money. See you guys on the next video. Peace.